Previously on Lost.
Oh, and if you want to try another good Finnish game, well, let's talk about that next time. I'll get to it soon enough.
Hi, long time no see. Look, I know I promised to get on this game soon enough, but I don't live off other people's income. Yet. That's why I had to spend some time doing some actual work. And I know that I've kept my subscribers, all 72 of them, in the dark all this time. But on the bright side, my job has put me in the right amount of depression and fatigue that are necessary to talk about this game. I would call that a win. So, let's begin. In our day and age, I believe that there are two cardinal sins a person can commit. First one is having serious thoughts about a career in video game industry in a current social climate. Or, number two, making their own game using RPGMaker, colloquially known as the Coomer engine. Imagine my surprise when two of those sins were committed, but the developer, despite his poor life choices, managed to make a good game. So, he made this. I'm sorry, I meant he made this. Disclaimer, this game was developed by one person, so everything we're about to see is probably going to be the developer's poorly disguised sexual deviations. I mean his clear vision of the game. Well, same thing really. But come on, when a game has this many tags, you're bound to find something you like, right? Fear and Hunger is a roguelike dungeon crawler slash survival horror set in a dark medieval fantasy. And I say fantasy because the game takes place in a prison, but somehow there are only white people in there, and that's a statistical impossibility. Well, there's also magic in this game, so maybe that's where the fantasy element comes from. The year is 1590. In a world much like ours, there's a kingdom of Rondon, the center of Western civilization. And there stand the infamous dungeons of Fear and Hunger. They, of course, had to be built on an ancient ruins that turn out to be a nexus for different planes of existence, where the veil between our world and another is wearing thin. Now, how original is that? That's where you can still feel the presence of gods that long abandoned humanity after we invented Crocs, cat wigs, and Twitter. These dungeons are used by the monarchs and noblemen as a prison where they send their convicted criminals. However, it seems that some time ago they've lost control of the dungeons because of the spooky influence of this place. It corrupts the minds of everyone in there and unleashes untold horrors on everyone who tries to survive. Your task is to venture into this dungeon and find a certain prisoner that is about to be executed. You select one of the four characters that suit your playstyle and prepare your descent into madness. That's the premise. And that's all I'm gonna say about the plot, because the lore of this game is really interesting and best to be discovered on your own. So this review is gonna be spoiler free. The game starts with a disclaimer that if you're the kind of guy who needs his trigger warnings for movies with Jackie Chan, you shouldn't play this game. But, you know, by now we all became kinda desensitized to violence, so this disclaimer is rather unnecessary, so I put a better one instead. The reason why this video was in development for 5 months was due to the excessive work I had to do with filtering all the genitalia. If you're vulnerable and prone to penis envy, you shouldn't play this game. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about our main characters. As I said, there are 4 poor bastards you can choose from. Mercenary, the dude with all the best skills on the game. You would want to play him first. He is a poster boy for the game, but, ironically, has the least to do with the overall plot. His wife is pregnant, and since OnlyFans hasn't been invented yet, she works in a brothel. So maybe that's the reason our guy decided to go for a pack of cigarettes in the most dangerous place on earth, where she won't be able to find the poor guy. Anyway, perfect fish out of water character. Next up, Knight, who's in love with the prisoner we need to rescue. The only virtuous character in the game. Decent skills and good starting gear. She's also a virgin, which I thought you guys should know because maybe it would be easier for you to relate to her. Dark Priest, former vocalist of a gothic band. He has achieved wizardry and is now seeking greater knowledge in all the wrong places. While in the dungeon, he's still doing book syllabus for his liberal arts degree in Stanford. and prefers the company of resurrected, rotten corpses, which is why he's no longer welcome at his local church. Outlander. This here is your dollar store Kratos. Kratos? I'm sorry, I can't remember how to say it right. So if you're Greek, please leave a comment with the right pronunciation. Is it A or B? Because I feel embarrassed. Anyway, he's doing the genocide route from Undertale to rid the dungeon of all evil. Arguably the most eco-friendly character, as seen as his zero-waste practices of eating his enemies to reduce the hunger meter. His is the most difficult ending to obtain. Okay, I think we got a little distracted here. Let's get back on track. What's interesting about the characters is when you choose one of the four, the other three become NPCs in the dungeon with their own agendas, and that actually helps you to learn more about the lore of the game. So you can talk to them, recruit them, or even kill them. But trust me bud, this isn't Darkest Dungeon with its clown car-like stagecoach, with the number of available conscripts in your mad quest is severely limited. So cherish those wonderful people, they all might help you on your quest. With one exception. Okay, before the gameplay, we need to talk about the audio. As I grow older and my eyes are starting to fail me, I begin to realize the importance of good sound design. And, let's be honest here, nobody plays RPGMaker games with their graphics. So here, sound should matter even more. And as for Fear and Hunger, the sound design is pretty okay. Especially if you consider the fact that everything was made by just one guy from a country without sunlight. Yo! Okay, jokes aside, it's as immersive as it can be within the boundaries of the engine. So the sounds of steps, the wind, the screams, the fight, oh my god, fuck you. It's all solid. So audio in this game is definitely its strongest suit, and there are many visceral moments that are amplified by clear and crisp sound that creates a very unnerving atmosphere. It actually reminds me of Silent Hill, and I would say that the developer probably wanted to take a page out of this game's book, but what we got here looks more like Saw rather than Silent Hill. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Saw... You know, all it takes is just good sound design, and regardless of visuals, we're gonna be along for the ride. The score was done by the dev himself. He self-taught some instruments and, to my knowledge, tried recording almost the entire score himself. Now that's some dedication. Oddly enough, the fact that the score contains imperfections and is sometimes just plain weird only makes it more fitting to the general atmosphere. Imagine if you would assemble a musical band out of deranged people who've seen too much of this crazy world. This music would be the result of their work. The unsettling score that's out of balance emphasizes all the craziness. It's creepy and makes you feel uneasy. As well it should. First of all, right off the bat, let me dispel your worries. This game is not trying to be an old-school JRPG with all its intricacies. Actually, let's just make a list of everything what we can and cannot find in this game. Okay, so there are no quests, almost no loot from mobs, it doesn't have any level ups, that also means that there's no grinding or scaling. Now let's look at what it does have. Crafting, talking to monsters, looting from containers, has a save feature, thank god. There's a skill 3, multiple difficulties and endings, equipment categories, and you can kill gods here of course. And let's also throw in batshit crazy plot that rivals Japanese writers for good measure, because this Finnish developer gave them run for their money. And there's another element in this game, but please pay it no mind, I'll explain it in time. The setting of Fear and Hunger surprises us in the place we least expected. Because in most of dungeon-themed RPG-Maker games, you are the one who's having sex with everything. But in this game, everything has sex with you.
Tonight, you.
And funny thing about that is that death is a preferable alternative to sex in this game. This is certainly a niche that hasn't been fully explored yet, and I'm not saying it should be, but since I'm already at this mark, we might as well continue down this rabbit hole. So you may ask, on a scale of fateful encounter with your uncle at a family dinner to working at Miramax Films in the 90s, how rapey is this game really? Well, watch me try to save my game. Oh, no! Well, that's pretty much the end of your first run in the game. And I'm not being hyperbolic here. These guys, prison guards, are brutal and can wreck your shit in a matter of seconds. So let's talk about combat. The combat in this game is turn-based, duh, but it has two salient features. First one is called Strategic Dismember Combat System, and it follows a very simple principle. Which limb do you think is the most dangerous one? Once you figure that out, cut that shit off. Problem is, goes both ways. So, your enemies can turn you into a pocket pussy in just a few rounds. And just like in real life, fighting is almost never worth it. And the chicks aren't watching, so why even bother? And so, the main rule you learn pretty quickly in this game is that even if you stub your toe, the likelihood of your survival drops dramatically. Seriously, it took me 3 fights at the start of the game and I was done. Oh, what's that? Did you step on a nail? Boy, you are fucked. Ate some rotten food? Well, in the forever box you go. Arm got infected. I don't think that Neosporin's gonna cut it this time, bub. Oh come on, don't tell me that you managed to lose a limb in your second fight already. Think you can continue the next 10 hours with just one hand? I mean, this is an RPGMaker game, but not that kind of game you can play with just one arm. Coomer games are down the hall and to the left. Sorry for confusion. To be fair, there are ways to recover from limb loss. But as I said, this is a spoiler-free review, so I will share only one method of how to do it, okay? Let's think for a moment. If you lose a limb in a video game, what do you do? Well, it would make perfect sense for an RPG game to have some sort of healing spell, right? Okay, and now, let me remind you real quick, Fear and Hunger is a dark fantasy that thematically looks like a bastard child of Tokyo Gore Police, Outlast, and Hellraiser. Now, are you really gonna roll the dice on the possibility of this game having a proper healing spell? But don't go and use your remaining arm to restart the game just yet, because we're about to go on a tangent. If you think that this game has mechanics that might save your sorry ass, then you'd be half right. The developer did take into consideration various mechanics to make this game more detailed and fleshed out, and then he twisted them against you. So it's all here, but not in a way you expect them to be. For example, low sanity after losing 2 companions in battle, your torch is out and you're afraid that you're gonna go crazy. Well, how about smoking some crack with your underage companion? Sanity restored.
Hold up.
Or buying remedies from the potion seller to heal yourself. How about dying agonizing death from poison instead, because you were stupid enough to blindly trust mystery medicine? Thank God nothing like that can ever happen in real life. Or trying to talk your way out of a fight with a crazy monster by trading your life for a helpless guy who's scared shitless and trying to survive in this dungeon by hiding in a prison cell. Well, actually that one works, but is that really something you'd want to share with your therapist next week? And now, equipped with that priceless knowledge, I will now ask you a question. taking into considerations the scenarios I just ran through you, what kind of healing mechanic we can expect to find in this game? And now would be a good time for a short segue to another topic, affinity levels. It's a simple reputation system you got with the gods of this game. If you do some rituals, might put you in favor with one of them, and they can bestow you with certain boons, or teach you some spells and such. Or, the opposite, if you anger them enough, then this wonderful game will end with a literal dick flattening. What a time to be alive. So, there is one specific action that increases your ties with Sylvian, the old god of love, and it acts as a healing spell. And the ritual is to have sex. And yes, I will go on a tangent now. It seems that Finnish sex education curriculum is coupled with the studies of Joseph Mengele experiments and Satan worshipping, because I can't otherwise explain the thing you're about to hear from me, but here goes. This ritual that we all heard so much about in real life will heal you and restore all limbs, so you'll be good as new. Also, since this is medieval times, you cannot be openly horny, so if you boink someone, you gotta tie the knot. That's why after you complete this ritual, your character will be called Marriage. Still with me? Okay, so what's the problem? You see, in this ritual your partner is literally fused with you, resulting in, well, this. Ugh. I agree that your first time is usually gross and horrifying, especially if you had Mexican food an hour before. But we're now well stepping into David Cronenberg territory and there are no breaks on this train that's made of human flesh. And you are not the only guy who completed the ritual, mind you. There's this fella called Moonless Guard, which is a mix between Prison Guard and... yeah, the dog. Implications unpleasant. Well, apparently furries were already a thing in medieval times, and they were rightfully put in jail. Sadly, they were on the wrong side of bars. Remember when I said we were discussing combat? And we'll get back to it, I promise. But I think there are more interesting things I need to cover first. By now you're probably wondering how this game came to be in the first place. Well, lucky for us, we got an interview with the developer. His name is... Baba Booey, also known as Orange. And here's what he said. The original idea was born during my school studies a few years ago. In our class, we have this tradition of asking random, like truly random questions from each other. During one class, I started asking one of my classmates what he would do in these different morally awkward scenarios that would all happen in a morbid dungeon. The scenarios would continue for a while, and more people got involved. In the end, it started to take the shape of a pen and paper RPG, and the dungeons were named the Dungeons of Fear and Hunger. Later on, I had to scrap together some academic credits, and I decided to turn the dungeons into a video game format and make a school project out of it. I even ended up writing my thesis about the game. The thesis was about the aesthetics and thematics of horror in video games, and the practical part of the thesis was the first demo of Fear and Hunger. A game born out of school project. Now that's pretty unique, and disturbing considering what he got away with. I like it. Alright, tangent over. Let's get back to combat, because there's another important mechanic I need to bring up. We'll talk about coins. This is also a point where I tell you that this game has an RNG system that is determined by a coin toss. What does that mean? Well, if you find a chest or some other container, you have to win a game of coin toss. If you win, then you get something good. If you lose, tough shit. And that same coin is also used in combat. You can actually flip 2 coins to double your chances to protect yourself from enemy skills, serious damage, or even insta-kills. But these babies are very hard to come by, so you need to ration them. Now, worst of all, the success rate is only 50%, and that will piss you off every goddamn time. But when I say that the matter of your anal virginity is actually determined in a game of coin toss, it does add new and previously unseen facets of a gameplay we didn't even know we needed in our life.
What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss?
Oh, and remember at the start of this video when I mentioned that this game is roguelike and that it has an RNG system? Let's talk about that. Flipping a coin and losing your limbs like you're some kind of leprous pinata is one thing, but when you find the container and can either find the game-breaking weapon or big fucking nothing, that is the worst part of RNG. And that's why Soulsborne games don't do that, because a carefully curated experience is almost always better than randomized chests. Okay, I get it, the same principles don't have to apply when you're making a roguelike game. But really, most of my deaths happened just because I couldn't flip the coin right to find one specific alchemy book that teaches you how to make healing potions. And I'm not hating the random loot system, there are games where it can absolutely work to its advantage. But that is only the case if that random loot can get you some amazing synergy that turns the tide of the game. But here we have the opposite case, and this motherfucker will make or break your game. Because your success is directly tied to how much damage you can dish out before you become Black Knight from Monty Python. But you can't do that if you ain't got a decent weapon. So, we're at a complete mercy of a fucking coin flip. Good fucking luck killing your enemies with starting weapons only. And after hearing all this, you may come to the only logical conclusion. There is almost no loot from mobs, no experience gain, no level ups. Why even fight? Why make a game where combat exists only to make you wanna kill yourself in real life? Let me try to address this issue. Not the suicide part, that's all you, King. I have seen people saying that this game is kicking their ass, or it has artificial difficulty, or RNG is stupid, and stuff like that. And these are all valid arguments, by the way, and I agree with them 100%. When I first played this game, this was exactly my train of thought, and I did not enjoy it at the start. But after a while, I discovered the true way it's meant to be played. Fear and Hunger is not a deep and mechanically perfect game by any means. It has cheap insta-kills here and there, RNG can't be game-breaking, and it makes it very difficult to enjoy this game if you don't know how, and it doesn't teach you that. So, listen to this. Fear and Hunger isn't a good JRPG. It just isn't. Because under the hood, it's built in RPGMaker. And that's something it cannot overcome by design. But it's an excellent all-you-need-is-kill game. Live, die, repeat. And this is how you're supposed to beat it. By taking the role of Keiji Kirya and learning it inside out by trial and error. And this is how you learn when to save, where to step, when to aggro, when to run, when to fight, and how to destroy some shit with extreme prejudice.
Smoking sexy style!
And now, you can finally enjoy this game, and I can proceed to talk about graphics. Well, this section is just a formality. I mean, it's an RPGMaker game. What do you want me to say? That thematically this game feels like this, but looks and plays like this? Sure. But, as far as stylistic presentation goes, playing it makes me feel like I'm watching Salad Fingers. Someone will get that reference. So I say it definitely has its own unique and oppressive style, even with the severe limitations of the engine. But, limitations aside, it's one of the very few games where you can feel the dungeon and be properly disgusted by it. So now I can't get rid of this phantom smell of blood and semen. And that is the true power of Fear and Hunger. And speaking of the art style, you're watching this video and may be thinking to yourself, hey, where's this from? Who inspired this guy? I've seen this somewhere. As the developer said himself, Yoshitaka Amano is his all-time favorite artist, and he used to mimic him when he was younger. But since then, Orange has developed a style of his own. In any case, it's very reminiscent of Vampire Hunter D and Final Fantasy... I wanna say 6? You know, the one with the clown. Alright, enough about the art style, enough about the graphics, now is the time for my piece de resistance. Now your patience will be rewarded, because now is the time for the dating sim segment. Now, if the last 20 minutes didn't sound convincing enough, then fuck it! Let's just go to the School of Fear and Hunger, where you can finally catch up with your studies and become closer to our cast of characters. How close, you say? Well, technically we're still within the dungeon jurisdiction, and this is an adult dating sim after all, so everything goes. But really, who gives a shit about playable characters? Because now we can romance Pocket Cat, and you will discover which is deeper, his undying love for you or his pockets. go on a prom date with Chrome Aller, because I've heard he's packing quite the pecker. Nashra, meanwhile, has the award for the softest mouth, which makes him way better than Duza from Hades, because that bitch wasn't looking for an intimate relationship. Finally, we can get the floating head romance thing out of our system. Ron Chambara, one of the gods. This time you'll learn the true reason why they call him the Tormented One. Oh, look! The girl is here too! Wait a minute.
Stop! You violated the law.
I got you now, you sick fuck. But seriously, you can't ask her out. So, all this and more can be found in dating sim mode that you can access after you beat the main game. Now, if that isn't the perfect incentive, I don't know what is. I know I originally came here to be scared, not to come. But this is an RPGMaker game, so I guess it has to follow its original purpose. Okay, what else I got in my notes? Yeah, we'll be skipping this. Hey, no spoilers. Okay then, let's finish this. You know, I decided to make a review for this game because it feels like a product of love, not the early access cash-grabbing bullshit we've seen thousands of times. This game is unique, that's for sure. So I'm gonna give this game a thanks, Mr. Developer, haven't been scarred like this since my high school. Also possibly developing a couple of new kinks I'll need professional help with. Overall good experience, would definitely recommend it to absolutely no one. It's been a delightful emotional trauma. Can't wait to not play the sequel to hurt myself even more. Hugs and kisses, best toxic relationship I've had this decade. Thank you and seek help. Now, finally, allow me to highlight some of my achievements in this game. Accidentally amputated all of my limbs when fighting infection, made myself a nugget, and discovered that there's an option to stop breathing all in one go. Fell down the septic tank and died of hunger, conducted at least a dozen of surprise circumcisions across multiple species, participated in not just one, but 2 orgies, committed a genocide of a local nudist colony of Blue Men group, had a consensual sex with 50% survival rate, killed only 3 children, smoked enough opium to make a Chinese man blush, talked a walking corpse into killing himself by reminding him that he's already dead, and saw a raging erection of a god that was suspiciously similar to Jesus Christ. And the list goes on. But that's all I can tell you without giving away too much. And now it's time to say goodbye. This video took me a while, but I still hope that you had some fun. So, after all is said and done, only one question remains. Should you play this game? Well, how about we flip a coin?